So this is the tug Jaguar, and he was bringing the pilot out to us in Buzzards Bay. And even though we're almost 10 miles into Buzzards Bay, you can see it still was a little bit sporty. The sun hadn't come up that morning, and for those that might be wondering why is he coming up on the windward side of us, it's because the barge blows down to the leadward side of the of us, and then we're still towing at this point. So I'm sure, although I didn't talk to Charlie about this, I'm sure his original plan was to be on the upwind side of us so that he wouldn't get tangled up with the barge behind us. Anyway, as you can see, that proved to not be the plan that he ended up going with, which I think we were, or especially the pilot, was very grateful he decided to go up on the leeward side. So now what I've done is showing you, this is another shot, but now on our starboard side, on the leeward side, and the barge is hanging off at like a 45-degree angle off of our stern behind us, and so he has to come in and land on us, but he also he can't slide back, because if he does, he'll get into our wire. So it's kind of a tricky maneuver. But Captain Charlie on the Jaguar has been a friend of mine, a friend of our family's actually, for quite a long time. And this certainly wasn't his first rodeo. You'll see he comes alongside here. Even on the leeward side, you can see it's still a little sketchy. There you can see the barge in the background now, so that's where he wouldn't want to fall back into that, because there's the wire going back there. Now the pilot is safely aboard. And, Charlie makes preparations for separation, where he wants to come ahead and make sure that he doesn't fall back onto that wire.
Nice to see you, Charlie. Merry Christmas.
And he gets a couple in gear, and away he goes. I think he earned his money on that day. Now it's a little further in the morning, the snow has stopped, the visibility's increased, and we are all the way at the top of Buzzards Bay. We, incidentally, because when we took the pilot on, they were reporting about 3 feet at the east end of the canal. In other words, when we got through the canal, we were looking at 3 feet to get it back on the wire, 3 foot of sea. By the time we got to Cleveland Ledge, or halfway, it was reporting, I think, 7.2 or 7.8 feet. So we decided we were going to hang it up, and one of the choices that we had to do that was to put it on what we call the sticks at the west end, and those are a series of pilings that they have set up for tug and barges to lean up against during bad weather. And so we were going to go to the sticks and be all set for when the weather calmed down. We could shoot right out, because we'd be just right at the entrance of the canal. controllers in the canal didn't want to let us in because the visibility was falling apart because it was snowing at the time. So we opted to go to one of the anchorages there right before Hog Island Channel, which is the beginning of the canal, and we anchored up there. And then when the pilot boat was ready, and I mean, you know, you can't just call and get a pilot boat immediately. He was expecting to get us at the other end of the canal, so it took a couple hours for him to get here. But the sun had come out, and the wind had increased on the other end, so we said goodbye to the pilot, and he took off, and we waited out the storm. Waited out so we could get to the other side of the canal anyway. And you can see it's much nicer here, but this is, the further you go up into Buzzards Bay, the less there is what we call fetch. In other words, there isn't a whole lot of room for the waves to build up. You know, as the wind pounds on the ocean, it starts to transfer energy into the waves, and the longer time you have and the longer space you have, the more energy you can store in there. But if you're all the way way up in Buzzards Bay, just about at the mouth of the Cape Cod Canal, there isn't a lot of room there, so you can blow all you want and you won't get more than a nasty chop. You know, you're not going to get huge swells in there if it's blowing out of the north or northeast or northwest. So that's why it doesn't look so bad here. But anyway, our pilot got on here, and pilot boat took him away. Now some of you might want to wonder why we had a pilot boat here as opposed to a tugboat the last time. It just happened to be where it was. The pilot boat was up at the canal and the tugboat was at the other end, so the pilot got on with the tugboat, and it probably would have been better for the seas that way anyway. But anyway, that's it. Just wanted to give you some content for you to watch while I put something together because of this funky week of my YouTube problems. You guys take care, stay safe, and I'll see you on the one.